All right, what's going on? It has been way too long, my friends. I've not done a video in forever. I've kind of had a lot going on, just keeping super busy. You guys know that follow me on Instagram. I have a new little daughter that's here, so it's part of the reason why. Just haven't been able to keep up. So I posted on Instagram a couple days ago just asking like what you guys wanted to see, something different. I know I've done knife reviews on here and that's it. And I actually thought I would do something along the lines of like how I clean and maintain my blades. And I thought it would be kind of cool to show you a Medford get cleaned and disassembled. Before you freak out and say, don't do it, it's going to void your warranty. The news is the warranty's already voided on this knife, and it's fine. I don't care. I clean and maintain all of my blades. I've been doing it for years. I know what I'm doing, so I feel good about it. This is not a video to try and like prove Greg wrong or go against anything Greg says. I actually think Greg is awesome. Everything Greg says, take to heart. Respect his knives. If the warranty's intact, I would suggest just send it to him. I mean, unless you're adamant that you're never going to need Greg's help, or, I mean, you know, if the warranty's voided, then maybe do it. So, apart from that, I'm just going to be upfront with you and tell you that you probably shouldn't do this. This isn't a video to be like, hey, here's how to take your Medford apart. It's not. I'll just tell you up front, I use this knife a lot. I love this thing. And it's getting a little colder here where I'm at. So I do two different things as far as lubrication when it goes with knives. And I usually always stick with grease. Rarely do I use oil. If it's a stainless steel, I don't mind using oil. And I'll kind of get into that when I break this down. But I like grease. Grease does not attract corrosion as much as I find oil to, especially on D2 blades. I've seen a lot of guys talk about corrosion on their Medford. Honest to God, don't oil the sucker. I know Greg advises sometimes to put a little light coat of oil or something like that on it. I'll kind of show like what I do different, and I've never had a spot of rust pop up on a Medford. So yeah, we'll get into that. So yeah, again, this is in no way a oh, I'm taking my knife apart, you know, just to spite Greg. No, it's not. I respect Greg more than almost anybody I've ever dealt with in the knife community. Very straight shooter. I've talked to him a couple times. Great guy. This is just a video to show you that the warranty's voided on this thing, and I gotta clean and maintain this sucker. I use it, so that's what this is. All right, so to begin, I'm going to break the pivot. I am not going to show you the tool I use, just out of respect for Greg. I don't want any headaches going Greg's way of, oh man, you know, he showed us how to use this, and I just don't. I don't want it. I don't even want people to start attempting it. Just, if your warranty's intact, do the right thing, send your knife into Greg, okay? So I'm not going to show you what I use. Sorry, it's just not going to happen. But I'm going to go ahead and start with that process first. It is not that difficult, but again, I respect Greg, so it's not going to happen. Almost done. If I sound a little nasally, I'm sorry. I'm going through some sinus stuff right now with all this freaking fun weather we've had. So just to show you the pivot, what it looks like, I don't know. It is what it is. It works fine. Pivot's out. So I'm going to move on to screws. I'll be really honest. The reason I believe that Greg doesn't want you to mess with this is because there's blue Loctite, man, on all of the screws. And I swear to God, if you get in here and start messing around and you try to mess with these screws and you don't have the right equipment, you're gonna literally warp the screw heads like the first time you try this. So I can probably tell you that the majority of headaches that occur with Medford are gonna be with that. Okay, got our last one here. Backspacer. I'm just gonna pop this out. I will agree with what Greg says as far as the tolerances on his knives, because I've taken apart a couple of them and I've had experience doing this for quite a long time. You got to be real careful in this part of any titanium knife, because you'll basically mess up your you can drag the blade across the scale because the centering's off so much. But I agree with Greg as far as the tolerances on his knives are insane. And if you don't get things right, if you don't get everything tightened up and aligned just the way it needs to be, it does throw off everything. It can definitely mess up your centering. So again, trust what Greg says. Just don't think that you're smarter than him. It's, you know, I can see where so many headaches have happened with his blades. I'm not saying that this is some sort of rocket science here, but you just got to know what you're doing, bottom line. So just going to pop that off. With this specific knife, there are 2 washers per side, so bronze washers here. I had previously took this apart, took the grease out just in preparation for this video, so I'll show you in a second what I do. So we're just going to put these washers, and it's really on there. Pop this blade off. So 2 washers. We stuck to this backside here. 2 washers. All right, you got your Medford blade, which is a freaking tank, man. This thing is sweet. So I didn't think I was going to be that crazy about the TFF2 or Tactical Fighting Folder 2, but man, it's bad. Such a sick knife. Love this sucker. It is D2, and again, I've seen guys talk about, man, there's rust spots. It's rusting. Oh, you know, I need to put oil. At this stage of the game, when you're cleaning your knife, if it's like a D2, especially any steel that's like typically prone to rust, man, I steer clear of oil. I've had nightmares. I hunt a lot. I'm outdoors a lot. I use these things all the time. I'll be honest with you, oil does nothing but like suck in all the dirt and all the grime that you don't want getting in there. I used to oil everything lightly too, and I mean, it would be like a premium gun oil I would put on it, and I would still, after a day out in the field, I would have surface rust in areas that I didn't want. So I don't do it anymore. So what I always do, you'll see a little mark here in the sunlight from where I'd done this previously. At this stage of the game, no matter what knife, I always take, well, I got some Sharpie on that. I'm about to bump myself. I always take and I apply a fresh coat of Sharpie, no matter what knife it is, no matter how awesome the lockup is. I always, just along this line, apply this. It helps with like adding a small layer of carbide to that lock face. Helps discourage lock stick. You know, your knife can literally, especially these titanium, you know, folders that we all love, it doesn't matter how awesome the lockup is. A lot of times guys go raving, oh, the lockup is perfect when they get their knife. And then like 2 months down the line, I see them flipping it on Instagram and selling it because, you know, for truthful reasons, you know, oh, all of a sudden the lock stick is a little bad. Dude, these things happen. Whether, I mean, sometimes just out of the freaking blue. If you carry these things and you use them and you don't just like sit them in a safe, you will absolutely find that they gall up from time to time, or they do weird things. It just depends. Like, I've gone out of state, you know, like go down by like, you know, more like the beach, ocean, and they perform differently. Like, it's just the truth. So it's just something you got to accept, you got to live with, and move on. So, okay, that's my rant about that. But what I do actually to prevent rust at this stage, because, you know, you guys see me handling all this and everything, and the odds, because of the way I've maintained it, are unlikely that it's going to get rust. But what I like to use, I'm going to show it. If you don't have it, get it. It's cheap stuff, man. Never dull. Excellent polish. Extreme corrosion resistance. So what I do, I don't want to bump the camera or nothing, but I just take and I buff with this. You don't have to go real hard. If your knife does have any surface rust at all, this stuff will just buff it right off. I mean, it's, again, don't have it, get it, you need it. So I just go back. Okay, there we go. What I'm gonna do, you don't leave this stuff on because, like I said, it's a polish, so get this crap off. Boom, she's spotless. Okay, beautiful. No oil, dry, no oil. Okay, so there's our blade. Just a quick talk point that I've noticed. This is no bash against Medford knives at all. It's just something I noticed that happens a lot, is that the lock faces, a lot of times that the internal face gets like some damage to it. And I believe part of that is from where the lockup occurring so early, and the tension between the lock face and the knife tang, it's cutting into this lock face. If you feel it, it's actually a very pronounced cut where that's occurring. You can also see it on the bottom sometimes of Medford knives. Does it affect anything? No, it doesn't cause, again, oh my God, doesn't cause blade play. Nothing, doesn't mess with anything. It's just the way they wear in, you know. So I believe that probably occurs more towards the breaking in period of the knife when it's brand new. It's just the nature of the beast. So I leave this stop pin in. There's no reason to move it. So nice stop pin, fits in there super snug. Okay, so what I always do, I take a clean cloth, I just wipe everything down. I do not, again, the reason why I don't use oil, if you oil everything, man, it gets down onto this lock face, and the first thing that's going to cause you problems is from where the oil attracts dirt and grime and crap to that lock face. So don't do it, just run dry, man. It's kind of like, you know, it reminds me of guns. Some guys oil their guns like maniacs, and what you don't realize is a lot of them are designed to run dry, and by literally dousing it in oil, you're gonna mess with its performance. So, you know, no need to go crazy or anything. Okay, so this is, you can tell it's an older Medford because the lock relief cutout here is on the internal. Some of them are different, so it's got the cool Medford clip. Awesome, freaking beast. While I'm at this stage, I just take and apply Sharpie to my lock face. All right, golden. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry my bearings off real quick. Make sure that they're spotless. I don't want any dirt, dust, any crap on there. Okay, golden. And what I like to use during the cold season, boom, another thing you guys need. This works great in guns too, man, during the cold. Extra heavy duty grease. This stuff is great, man. The reason why I use this stuff in the cold is because it performs really well. A lot of times during the warmer months, I use like a white lithium grease. I like something a little lighter. You know, but during the winter, I don't mind the heavy duty grease. It performs really well with low temperatures. And again, I'm a hunter, I'm outdoors a lot. I need my stuff to perform. And what I found is that through the years, this is what works for me. Will it work for you? I don't know. You may find some fault in it, but I'm just telling you, I've done it and it works. So why change it? So what I'm gonna do, I don't really care. Let's see, to get a little grease on me. I just take this stuff, get a little bit. You don't gotta go nuts, man. That's the other thing. You don't gotta go crazy with grease. Okay, just coat this thing a little bit. The reason why I don't go real nuts with grease is because with the tight tolerances on these knives, a lot of times if you go nuts and you put a lot, you get everything tightened up and the stuff is literally like getting pressure squeezed out. So don't do it. Just a little bit goes a long way. There we go here. Let's get a little going. Okay, and again, like I said, these have two, so that's why I'm doing that. All right, get that junk off my hands. All right, at this stage, I'm gonna lower this down. Okay, I want this pressed as far back as this will go, as far back. If it's not, you can already see here, it's not fully rested. That's bad news. You want it up against there as much as possible. Okay, that's very important for reassembly. And I'll show why. It's where centering problems will occur more than anything. Okay, get a little more of our grease. Okay, just a little more. All right, grease back on. Okay, that's all right. Sometimes I add a little grease line to the detent ball path. I'm not going to worry about that this time. I sometimes, especially on newer knives, I'll do it just to where it just improves the, less friction wear there on the detent ball line. But this knife is getting pretty well broken in. I'm not going to stress about it at this stage. So, all right, this part here, this is the part where people are going to go wrong. Again, you got to make sure that this is fully pushed down. All right, we're in. We got to get lined up. All right, now we're in. Okay, at this stage, I'm going to put the pivot back in. Just gonna hand tighten it. Sorry, fellas, I will not show you the tool. Okay, I'm gonna add in my right here. I'm gonna drop in. Boom. Boom. Sorry this is a lengthy video, but this stuff takes time, man. You can't just do this in like 5 minutes. Get this one in. All right, last. Maybe. I find on a lot of knives that this last little hardware is usually the worst. Okay, we're in. All right, at this stage, I'm just going to tighten these down enough. Okay, I'm not gonna go nuts. a lot of your centering and smoothness and everything is affected at this stage of the game when you're tuning a knife. You know, that's just the way it goes. So there we go. All right, now off screen, sorry. I'm gonna make sure that my pivot's set the way I want. Real quick adjustments. Okay, now I'll tighten these a little more, just hand turned, hand snug. Don't go real crazy and strip the suckers. All right, she's back. She's back and she's centered. She's great. Boom, just like that. And buttery smooth. Oh. Hit my finger. And again. Here we go. This one requires a little more oomph to flip, honestly. It's more of a downward flipper. I'm nervous I'm gonna hit my camera. There we go. So, there we go. There we go. So, there you go. It's kind of what I do, why I do it. You know, it's just, it is what it is. I don't go all out. I don't do nothing fancy. Yeah. You should see what my method does to some others. You know, like I said, this one is, this actually is not the best flipping knife I've ever handled. It's just not. So part of the issue is that the blade is super, super heavy. So the way the flipper tab is designed here, you don't get much leverage to just, you can't. Some of them are like a light switch, just that fly out. But this one, like, it works well at like a downward angle. So there we go. But that's it. So you can see some of my smudges on there right now. So I don't know, guys. If you were expecting something really fancy, I'm sorry, but that's what it is. And if you got any questions, if you want to know or ask me why I do what I do, just hit me up on Instagram, Knife Knowing You. So I'm always down to answer questions or discuss things. My way is not always the right way. I've got a pretty amiable approach in the way that I do things, so cool. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Sorry it was lengthy, but like I said, it is what it is. So until next time, take care.